pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2026, the regular session?
So moved.
Second? Anyone second?
I'll second.
Are there any discussion? Hearing none. Can I have are the minutes approved? We don't need a roll call for that, right? Yeah.
Just approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
We have closed session routed?
Yes, we also have, can I have a motion to
No, we just,
move both of them?
no, we don't vote on the closed.
Initial.
So
Oh,
they get
okay.
routed and we initial them, our
Okay.
approval.
Okay. All right. So we don't do anything?
Nope.
Okay. Township council reports. I don't know, whose turn, anybody want to go first? How about you, Ridwana? You know-
Sure. Thank you, Council President Geiger. As we welcome spring, I want to wish everyone a happy Holi, a celebration of color, renewal, and triumph of light over darkness. And may this season bring joy, healing, and hope to every family in Bridgewater. And just moments ago, Councilman Kirsch and I just joined an interfaith gathering at the Al-Falah Center. We had a delicious Ramadan iftar that brought neighbors, not just from Bridgewater, but across New Jersey. A lot of elected officials came by and friends, and we came together with people of all faiths across all traditions. And last month, February actually offered powerful reminders of who Bridgewater is as a community. Just the day before that big snowstorm on Sunday and Saturday, a bunch of Bridgewater residents and I volunteered with Feeding Hands. We met with families who drove up to Feeding Hands who rely on our support. Their needs are growing, and they urgently requested for some corporate donations. So if you work for big companies, so that, ask for donations so they can continue serving our communities. The Youth Council will be going there in April as well to continue serving. So if you want to volunteer, please sign up. And I was also invited in the celebration of Lunar New Year's last month by law enforcement to the OCA Asian Pacific American Advocates Lunar New Year celebration. I joined Mayor Sam Joshi from Edison, as well as NJIT President Teek Lim. I'm also on the board at NJIT, so it's really nice to meet him and his wife again. The event did affirm how essential our communication with our law enforcement, representation, and collaboration really are to public safety and to every resident. And in Bridgewater, we also had really nice celebrations. The Center for Cultural and Creative Exchange brought families together at our very own Bridgewater Commons for the Lunar New Year celebration. Also on February 21st, Somerset County celebrated International Mother Language Day in Franklin. It reminds us history of how important language and identity and freedom are. And Bridgewater has so many residents that speak dozens of languages from every corner of the world, so it was a very nice celebration there. And then this week we had, on March 3rd, some of us here attended, we had the planning board meeting, and I really enjoyed working with our planning board as well as everyone that was present here. We focused on responsible development. We asked questions that put safety and our communities first, and we reviewed the application with a lot of thoughtful questions. So that's all for today.
Thank you. Councilman Ring?
Thank you. Trying to remember the snowstorms, but prior to our most recent large snowstorm, as a member of the local emergency management council, participated in several pre-storm calls that our Office of Emergency Management organized to make sure the town was prepared for our most recent storm. For some reason, I guess the big storm seemed to like Sunday this year. But thank not only the Office of Emergency Management, Public Works, obviously, and all of our first responders, police, fire, and EMS that were out and about in that storm, taking care of the township and its residents. So once again, thank you to them for this most recent storm. And that's my report.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge our police department. They earned reaccreditation for the 4th time. This represents a commitment to high standards, so congratulations to, usually they're, yeah, there you are. Congratulations again.
We're in a different seat.
Yeah.
One man down.
So I want to thank
Could have thrown them out.
I want to thank our Department of Public Works for all their hard work this winter so far, and let's hope we don't have any more snow. I also want to acknowledge the Bridgewater Raritan High School boys and girls swim teams. Both the boys and the girls won the state championship this year, and I know I used to swim next to them sometimes at the Y. They're really something. We're still working on committee appointments. I have submitted some names for some committees to Mr. Pappas, who's going to be going over them with the mayor, so hopefully we will have some of those appointments done in 2 weeks. I do want to extend condolences on behalf of the Township of Bridgewater to the families and friends of our service members who have been killed in the most recent war, action, whatever you want to call it. I did have an opportunity to tour the Somerset Raritan Valley Sewer Authority, the SRVSA, for 3 hours. It's amazing, that's all I can say. I will tell you what I learned. What I learned is it's a very complex system, and I'm very glad the people who are running it are the people who are running it. Right? You agree with that? Yeah. And the fun fact, the fun history fact, there are former slaves and Revolutionary War heroes, and tradition has it that there are also British soldiers buried in Bridgewater. Prince Rogers Cemetery off of Foothill Road near the Prince Rogers Baseball Complex has the former slaves, and at the Bulmer family burial plot ground, which is in the middle of the road, of Middle Road in Martinsville, is where the soldiers are buried. I thought that was extremely interesting.
Development.
Yeah. Okay, Councilman Kirsch?
Thank you, Madam President. So I have a few short hits and then one issue I'd like to go into at somewhat greater depth. A couple of these things were already mentioned. The Chinese Lunar New Year celebration at the mall sponsored by the CCCE group. So I was there on the 21st. Just preceding that, I was at the annual celebratory lunch for the Washington Campground Association, as was our council president. Kevin Storms, a Bridgewater resident, has taken the lead on reinvigorating that organization, and I've joined their board of trustees. They manage the campground. They are particularly responsible for the July 4th event that occurs each and every year, and certainly in 2026, that'll be a special anniversary for the country. In 2027, it'll be a particularly special anniversary for that site. On the 26th, I attended the Animal Shelter Board, expressed my appreciation to them on behalf of our township, the important work that those board members do and that the animal shelter provides. I stated that, in many ways, Bridgewater is an extraordinary community, and one of the ways that we show that is how we treat our animals. We don't simply do the minimum that we're required, which is animal control, but we really do take a meaningful and heartfelt approach. On the 28th, it's attended Chinese Lunar New Year at the Senior Center. I want to particularly call that out as a partnership between the township and the Bridgewater Chinese American Association, and acknowledge in particular 2 Bridgewater residents who take the lead with that organization, Henry Wang and Lucy Lee. And I was also earlier this evening, as was mentioned by Councilwoman Isla, at the Interfaith Ramadan Iftar celebration at Al Falah. The place I wanted to dive a little deeper was on the 26th, so a week ago Thursday. I attended Congressman Tom Kaine's SALT Summit. SALT is state and local taxes. It's not just, the stuff you put on food. It was a roundtable discussion of elected officials, real estate, and tax professionals. And what I found most important about this session and the topic in general is its connection to affordability. I know every politician, local, state, national, anywhere else, keeps talking affordability. It seems to be the new buzzword. Certainly isn't a buzzword for any of us who've been here for a few years. It's something that we live and breathe every day. But the reality is that municipalities can only cut corners so far. The impacts, there are impacts when you fail to properly fund items such as our roads, as our group inherited when we came in 2020. There had been a failure to properly fund our roads, and we took over a road system that was in very poor condition. And same thing with the sewer utility, which was in fiscal and physical distress. You can't cut corners on your energy costs. You can't use 75% of necessary amount of road salt. And then, of course, we had the rampant inflation during the years, particularly 2021, where it was 7%, 2022 it was 6.5%, and then 3.4% in 2023. So there is a need for a fundamental game change in what many of us call the total cost of ownership. And there is also a need for a game change to continue to attract jobs to New Jersey and to this area in particular. You know, we love it, we call it home, but those who are making financial decisions and need to attract workers, this environment that we're in can be a challenge for people wanting to come and settle into New Jersey, and that's an important, important concern for the local real estate market. So as I noted, SALT, state and local taxes, there is now a fundamental change. The limit was raised from $10,000 to $40,000 for incomes under $500,000, retroactive to 2025. The average residential tax bill in Bridgewater Township is over $13,000. Of course, the lion's share of that is the school district, 67.6, 18.5 is the county, 12.5 decided within this body, and then 1.4 other. But at the end of the day, it's $13,000 coming out of everyone's, the average person's pocket. The income necessary to support the average home could easily have a state income tax bill in the vicinity of $11,000 to $14,000 or more. Mortgage interest potentially of $15,000 or more. You add in a little bit of charitable giving, and it's easy to see that even the average Bridgewater resident may be looking to itemize $44,000 or more. And now that they are getting the full benefit, or up to $40,000 of benefit on SALT, that will put real dollars back into people's pockets. So if people are able to deduct an incremental, maybe $12,000 or more, that would be savings of somewhere in the vicinity of $2,500 to $3,000. That's $250 a month. So again, when people are talking about affordability, this action taken by Congress and the President is putting real money back into people's pocket. This was enabled by H.R. 1, which was signed on July 4th, 2025. Bears noting that a couple days earlier, by a vote of 51 to 50, the Senate approved it. In New Jersey, our two senators, Booker and Kim, voted no. On July 3rd, it was passed by the House. This was July 3rd, 25. Roll call numbered 190, approved by a vote of 218 to 214. In the case of New Jersey, 3 yes votes by Congress members Kane, Smith, and Van Drew. The other 9, including our current governor, all voted no. I highlight that because it is critically important, I believe, for everyone to remember who your friends and who your foes are in this affordability fight. In the case of Bridgewater Township, the Board of Education, and Somerset County, I urge everybody to see what's going on and who's fighting for you, who is providing necessary services at a price that is reasonable and affordable. Trenton, unfortunately, is best known for high taxes and most recently the stunning and epic failure to account for pending energy needs that we're all feeling each and every day. And of course, Washington is what Washington is. I don't need to go any further there. The bottom line for me personally is I'm very proud to have worked with Congressman Kane for this positive change. He and I have been speaking about this for the last couple of years. Glad to be a part of his summit about 2 weeks ago on behalf of Bridgewater. And I'm just, happy to be part of positive change, both for Bridgewater and our nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bucko?
Thank you very much. First, on this past Friday, the 27th, we did receive a draft of the 2026 budget from the administration. I'd like to thank the mayor and Administrator Pappas, Deputy Administrators, our interim CFO, and everyone who made that happen to get the hard work that I know went into that done and on time. And subsequent to that, the Finance Committee met with the administration this past Tuesday to begin the discussions over the budget. And I think we can all characterize it as a work in progress. And as we move forward, it will come together, I think, in a good way. Also, I was also had the privilege to attend the Year of the Horse performance at the mall that was put on by the Center for Cultural and Creative Exchange last Saturday. This week is Read Across America. On Wednesday, I had the privilege to read to a class at Adamsville School. I read to them Vote for Our Future by Margaret McNamara, which explains why many schools close on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of every November. Adamsville is a polling place in Bridgewater. It does not close, but the gymnasium is closed off so that it can become a polling place for the residents in the Findern area of town. Also, March is Women's History Month, and I would just like to recognize the former councilwomen going back to 1948 who have served Bridgewater with honor and distinction. Hopefully I don't mess up names too badly. Christine Henderson Rose, Patricia Flannery, Susan Grohl, Louisa Watrell, and Carol Ann Auger. And that is my report.
I just want to add to that, that we also have, Bridgewater now has a female municipal court judge, Judge Catherine Howes, and we have 2 women on the council, and we're very proud to be women on the council. So I'm very proud to have a female judge. Mr. Pappas, you want to give the report for the mayor?
Sure, thank you very much. A few things. Obviously, this is March. We have the new issue of the newsletter. I know there are copies in the table in the back. Encourage folks to avail themselves to it. I too want to thank the Department of Public Works for the work that they did in responding to the snow event. Any complaints or issues that were received or were addressed as quickly as possible, and hope that we won't see snow for a while. Speaking of snow, and I know that there's going to be discussion about ordinance change, the mayor will be, at some point in the near future, proposing some other amendment dealing with fire hydrants. He was contacted by the fire chiefs from the volunteer fire companies and is going to be working with Mr. Corsini to try to put something together that could address that. The remaining 2 things that I just want to mention is the Office of Constituent Relations has seen fit to propose a slight change to the phone system, so when people call, they can more readily get to the Office of Constituent Relations to seek assistance, for that is their mission. The last thing I want to mention is the Environmental Commission met, and we're very pleased to say that Mr. Jeffrey Foose, who is here tonight, was selected as chair, and the administration, people of Bridgewater, thank you for that willingness to serve again, Mr. Foose. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any proclamations or presentations. The meeting will now, can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public? Second? I'll second. Members of the public wishing to address the council on any matter will have 3 matters to speak, which may be extended in the discretion of the council president. An additional minute will be allotted for responses to comments from the dais.
Council President, if I maybe just make one comment before we start. I think
Sure.
we've changed the system a little bit now. Instead of having the sign-in sheet on the podium, it's on the table so that you can sign while someone else is actually speaking.
What a nice change. Was that your idea?
I may have had some input into it.
Well, good, good. Good, that's a
So,
good idea.
just so people know, the sign-in sheet is not on the podium, it's on the table to the side.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it was mine. I figured it was yours.
Mr. Patel? Because it's coming right afterwards? Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can sign and then you can speak next. Also, I've just been advised by council, and it really makes sense. There's a public hearing on a series of ordinances relating to affordable housing. It's on the agenda A, B, C, and D. So if anyone wants to speak on that, they can do it during the public session because it follows right immediately afterwards. And I do have some comments about that as well. I'm sorry, Mr. Patel?
Manish Patel, 41 Schaefer Road. Thank you again. It's been a while since I've been here, but obviously a lot going on around us. Councilman Kirsch, if you do happen to talk to Congressman Kane again as a constituent, I'd love to see him or have him return a call or have a town hall in the future so he can actually talk to the constituents. So since you seem to have a direct line to him, it'd be nice to see that. Anyone here who might have a direct line to him, that'd be great. And also, as far as the salt tax cap goes, if you recall, that happened under 45 and 47. If it changes, it's like congratulating the arsonist for putting out the fire, just as a note. You know, what I really came to talk about was, again, related to issues that our congressman could help us with, but more so, I really trust and look towards our township council here. And mayor to provide some guidance, some feedback, obviously not here, but in the future. You know, I'm a son of an immigrant. I've been here 50 some odd years. And I remember when I was naturalized and got my citizenship, the days leading up to that, you know, I'm like studying things that clearly I didn't need to study for the citizenship test, but just to be prepared, right? And here I am now in 2026, walking around with a passport card because of things called like the Kavanaugh stop, right? If you're not familiar with that, anyone who is of a certain complexion, job description, or potentially heard speaking a certain language can be stopped. Wow. That's what a Kavanaugh stop is. So whether I'm overreacting or not, based on the things I've seen happen in other parts of the country, I am seriously concerned about things that could happen in our very ethnically diverse township of Bridgewater, which I love, right? You talked about the multicultural or multi-faith celebration for Ramadan. We talked about the Chinese New Year. Councilwoman Isla mentioned Holi. I mean, that's 3 different cultures all in one council session, right? Mentioned. That's our town. That's the town I love. I love our school because of that. I love the people around me because of that. I have people from all over the world that I talk to. And here I am, like I said, walking around with my passport card because of things like the Kavanaugh stop. I don't see it getting better, but I know that our township hopefully has our back and has the backs of our police officers who are going to be put in a very difficult position potentially when this thing starts rolling in here. The reason I say it may roll in here is because under the lack of vigilance from our congressman, the township of Roxbury has just sold off a piece of a warehouse property to turn it into a detention center, which means they're going to have to fill it up. How are they going to fill it up? They're going to look to places like Bridgewater potentially to go and fill it up. What is our township going to do? Again, you guys need to huddle about it. Obviously, convene with the mayor as well and figure out what the statement is going to be in terms of things that we're going to do to back up our citizenry. Because we have Home Depots here. We've heard stories about Home Depots. We have people working on houses here, on roofs here, all kinds of things. The weather's going to get warmer. There's going to be a lot of people working outdoors. Are those people targets because of the Kavanaugh stop rule and other things and other policies? So while we're trying to congratulate Congressman Kane for certain actions, like I said, arsonist put out the fire type of congratulations, we have real issues that are a concern to me now. I can't believe I'm even here talking about this because I'd rather talk about how we bring jobs into Bridgewater.
Mr. Patel, I do want you to know that, and maybe I'll defer to Councilman Bucko, but Councilman Bucko is working on an ordinance, and he has spoken to the mayor about it. We're all very concerned about it. I also want to acknowledge the chief of police has circulated what our regulations are with respect to ICE, and I do have, or what their regulations are with respect to ICE, and I do have copies of some information that's been put out by Governor Mikey Sherrill about it, if anyone in the public wants to review it. This is the current state of the situation as far as state laws are concerned and as far as local compliances with ICE. And again, I don't know if Councilman Bucko wants to comment. And then, of course, you have a minute to respond to anything we've said.
I don't have anything to respond to. I just want to say that, again, hopefully there is more thought given to this and consideration and vigilance about what will happen or may happen, because I'm concerned, right? I mean, I have a kid too. And then lastly, unrelated and slightly lighter note, I do appreciate the effort put forth by obviously Public Works in a police department, considering the absolutely crazy storms we had. I really want to give a shout out to the school buses. I mean, my kids are gone, college and working, but they have a really difficult job getting through our streets. And I may write to you guys about a potential suggestion or two based on other townships I've heard of, where people who leave their cars on the street should get ticketed.
I think
becomes very
Councilman
difficult.
Kirsch is looking at that as well.
Something we've
He's
discussed.
concerned about that, yeah.
I really feel bad for the school bus drivers more than anyone, and of course the plow guys can't do that.
Part of the challenges with that is coming up with a plan that is reasonable as to where they put cars. Some people can put them on lawns, some can't. We need to, there's some logistical stuff there, but it's something we're thinking of.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, if I could
Thank
just
you.
address that, I think there are two open questions, but if I could just address, the one about the parked cars, as I think I live in your same or similar neighborhood. So, I do know the challenges of relatively narrow streets, especially when snow piles up and people are not parking in their driveways and their garages. I want to credit the Office of Constituent Relations in advance of this second massive storm, put out communications, including a photo, a diagram, kind of illustrating how, with a little bit of creativity, you can put 3 cars in a 2-car driveway, if you're so inclined. And I personally noticed that for this second storm, a lot more people heeded that, which made it much easier for our plows to do their thing.
It's less snow to shovel in your driveway, too.
What's that?
It's less snow to shovel. in your
Correct. If
driveway.
you just have to get the snow off the car, right? And you can use the tarp trick. I saw a few people do that.
Madam President, if I could just make one
Of course.
statement. There was referencing, Ms. Patel made reference to the police department. Chief Mitzak has really done a very good job in issuing a very clearly written, spelled out parameters of what the police department
Right here. If anybody wants to
do-
look at it, here it is.
and what they would be expected to do under some of the scenarios that you've mentioned. They have very clear guidelines from the State Attorney General's office, and so from our perspective, there's no question as to how they would handle any such scenario.
But we are working on it. We're well aware of the problem. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Richie Abujadi, and I have a pigeon coop at 713 East Main Street, Bridgewater. And I've been there since 1996, 30 years ago. And then the pigeon coop, it's since 2011. And somebody complained for animal shelter. They always come, like 10, 15 years, they keep coming every year. But the lady called the zoning officer on me for Mr. Kevin. And then he wants me to move them. And then, I have a proof that there is no diseases. Pigeons have no diseases. And they are my pets. I had them for 15 years. I cannot get rid of them. I belong to Central Jersey Variety Pigeon Club. We make shows. We take pigeon to the shows, and then...
Sir, can you move the microphone a little bit? Because you're also going out on the internet.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I belong to Central Jersey Variety Pigeon Club and to National Pigeon Association. And then, these pigeons are from imported bloodline. I had them for 15 years. They are homing pigeons. They come like from 500 miles. They eat from your hand. They spread no disease. They are very friendly pets and very healthy. I would like to keep them. I don't want to, no summons, no, like, not move them from there.
Sorry, is there an, I just not, are you asking us to help you? So, and so what is the exact ask?
To help me, yeah.
To help you
Yeah. Like
do what?
mediation between me and like zoning officer. He wants me to move them.
Okay.
But I never had problems before. Like long time ago, never had any issues.
Okay, I think Mr. Pappas
Yeah,
will.
this is the first I've heard of this, and I will look into it. And if you put in your, on that sheet, contact information, I'll look into it. Thank you.
Do you have a card to give him? Is there anyone else?
I think,
I don't know if you've already signed. Okay, great. Thank you. Della Ventura.
Yes, Della Ventura. My name is Angela Della Ventura. I live at 32 Upper Drive in Watchung, New Jersey. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of my son, Peter Della Ventura, who on March 5th of a year ago was in a horrific accident here in Bridgewater. He was meant to be with me tonight, but he's suffering from a migraine, and so he's at home, and I'm speaking on his behalf. I have, what I want to tell you about is that he received a letter from the Office of Emergency Management asking for reimbursement for the expenses of employees, volunteers, cars and trucks and et cetera, that were involved in that accident. And I'm going to read you what his response is. He wrote this letter to the Office of Emergency Management. I'm writing regarding your request for reimbursement for all related employee and volunteer costs associated with my accident on March 5th, 2025. Let me first assure you that I'm unendingly grateful for all your efforts to save me that night. Truly, if it were not for the immediate and heroic actions of Officer Noah Alat and the other first responders, I would not be here to write this letter to you. Having said that, I find it necessary to clarify my situation. About a year before this accident, I suffered a pneumothorax, commonly known as a collapsed lung, resulting from a severe infection. It required surgery and 14 days in the hospital, plus more than 30 days with a chest tube inserted through my ribs. The chest tube made it barely possible to sit, stand, walk, or lie down because of constant pain. Once the chest tube was removed, I had to even relearn how to stand up straight. The recovery took 6 to 10 months before I could start back to work on barely a part-time basis. I'm self-employed glazier and general carpenter. My work requires physical strength and dexterity. Barely 2 months later, on March 5th, 2025, this accident occurred. Again, I spent a week in the hospital with a severely broken arm, which required 2 stainless steel plates to realign, a seriously swollen right hand, 3 cracked ribs, severe back pain from whiplash, and a mild concussion, aside from various other swellings, cuts, and bruises. But thank God and Noah Alat, I was alive. And thank all of you others as well. I mention again that I'm a self-employed glazier and general carpenter. My work requires physical strength and dexterity. The right arm, hand, ribs, back, and the rest are all necessary. Recovery from my injuries took several months, both physical and emotional. I would be lying if I were to downplay the mental or emotional aspect of having these 2 adversities happen to me, one after the other. During my months-long recovery, I received literally hundreds of letters from hospitals, doctors, insurance companies, and your request, which remained in a pile as I struggled to get my life back. I did not intend to ignore them. I just wasn't capable of dealing with them at the time. However, because I did not respond to your letter in a timely fashion, You now require that I answer this in court. The court date is March 25th. The crux of the problem is this. I'm self-employed. I earn about $25 an hour when I'm able to work, but because of these two catastrophic misfortunes, I have only been able to work sporadically. As a result, I've been forced to use up all my savings and entirely wipe out my investments in order to support my wife and myself for the past 2 years. You are requiring that I reimburse $15,025.82. Unfortunately, I do not have the money to reimburse your employees and volunteers. I ask you to reconsider your request. Perhaps you can reduce it to a reasonable amount that I can pay off monthly. I'm a highly skilled worker. Perhaps I can work for your municipality at a reduced rate in order to allow you to recoup your expenses. Perhaps you can envision another solution. I would gladly discuss any options.
Mrs. Delaventura, he's got a summons to appear in the municipal court?
Yes, on March 25th.
Okay, so two things. One, he can probably appear by Zoom.
Yes, he will be doing.
Okay, so he doesn't have to physically appear. Would that work for him?
Yes, he can do that. Mhm,
Okay.
Yes.
Secondly, I would say that I'm very familiar with the court and with the prosecutor, with the judge. I would be extremely surprised if they would not be willing to work with him within the confines of the law to the extent that they are able to. And I never practiced that. I never appeared in court on that kind of thing, so I don't know in particular. Maybe you do. Maybe you know something about it. I don't know what discretion the courts have. I do know that they typically do try to work with people in terms of payment plans. I have no idea how much discretion the judge or the prosecutor has in terms of whatever the particular ordinances are in and of themselves. Maybe, do you have anything to add to
I'm
that?
just going to suggest, what I would recommend is that he reach out to the prosecutor beforehand, have a conversation. You know, they can meet, have a discussion, potentially work something out where when it comes to a Zoom call, we're going to dismiss this, we've worked out something, you know. I think the council has something further.
We've discussed the matter internally, and I think that the department administrator may have some thoughts. We're examining the matter, the invoice sent by Sergeant Edwards as well as the correspondence sent, and I think we'll have some more on this in the future, but the administrator may also have some thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Corsini. I'm very familiar with this matter. There's not a lot that I think would be appropriate for me to discuss here publicly. Certainly, I'm familiar. There's a lot to this, even beyond what you spoke about today, and I can understand why you wouldn't. So we're aware of it. Mr. Corsini, Chief Mitzak, Lieutenant Edwards, and I met on this a couple of days ago, and we will be addressing this. The municipal court appearance is a separate matter. We have no direct involvement in that, and your son will have to appear or work something out through that process.
He intends to appear. I just want to mention a couple of things, though, on the request for reimbursement. That seemed to me questionable, and I would like you to respond to it if you have the ability to do so. For example, the Bridgewater Police Department subtotal of cost for reimbursement was $4,037.21. However, they multiplied it by 200%. So now it's $8,074.42.
Is that because it wasn't paid on time?
No, this
Oh,
is in the original letter.
I think that is something better, as Mr. Corsini said, looking at this, and we'll have more information. None of us up here can address any, specific charges or costs. That's not determined by any of us. So I would suggest, if they're going to have more to say, give them a few days or some time to look at it. But I don't think any of us can specifically answer any questions related to specific
Right now,
charges.
I understand. Is there someone that we should be contacting then?
I received a letter. I think someone sent me an email just yesterday, and most of what you shared was
It is the same letter.
contained in the letter. And my reaction to that was meeting with Mr. Corsini, getting his guidance, Chief Mitzak, and I think that's all I can say at the moment.
Should I follow up with someone? Should Pete be talking to someone?
I think the advice that you got about him pursuing the municipal court matter and maybe contacting the prosecutor, I'll let Mr. Corsini speak to that. And as far as the letter that I received, I can't give you a time frame at the moment.
He's represented by counsel in the municipal court matter, as I'm aware, by Mr. Mitzner. Councilman Ring is correct. There'll be discussions that could be had at the time of the hearing in this matter, but I think that we are reviewing it, we are aware of it, and we may have more to say on it in the future.
Yes, if there's some way that, that we can work something out that's reasonable. I mean, he's not in a position to pay that money, so it's a hardship.
I've appeared in that municipal court many, many times, and I can tell you that the people there are extremely reasonable. They do what they can, and they're very sympathetic to circumstances that are understandable. But again, I can't speak for the judge, I can't speak for the prosecutor, I can't speak for anyone in the court. I can just tell you my own experience with the same people has been very productive, and would you agree? Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. But I will say this, thank you very much for bringing it before the council. We were all aware of the incident. I wasn't aware that it was your son until you mentioned the particular incident, and we hope he continues to recover.
Thank you. And
Are there other people that want to speak today? Okay, I just would ask you to limit your comments if you can, because there is
yes, no,
another.
I just wanted to mention that if there's any possibility to waive any of this, would that be considered?
I don't know what again, I don't know what rights the municipal courts have.
It's the request.
That's not going to be resolved here
It's the
tonight.
request.
That won't be resolved here tonight.
All right.
If there is any ability to do that, that's not to be resolved here tonight.
Yeah, it's certainly on our radar screen. Do not lose heart. We will look at this matter in great detail, and there will be more to be said on it. So,
Thank you.
sure.
Mr. Petrosa, did you sign in yet?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Losing my voice already.
That's okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, council members, neighbors, and residents. Bridgewater is a community that prides itself on looking out for one another. But currently, buried in our municipal code is a provision that is fundamentally unjust and runs contrary to the values of this community. Chapter 40 of our code, the Hazardous Substance Ordinance, was originally designed for environmental safety, but on May 23, 2024, it was weaponized. Under the leadership of tax king Mayor Mensch, the council voted 4-1 to impose a rule that if you cannot pay a cleanup bill within 45 days, you face up to 6 months in jail. I cast the lone dissenting vote. Let that sink in. 6 months in jail, not for committing a crime, not for intentional misconduct, but for being unable to pay a bill. The human cost of this ordinance now has a name, Peter Della Ventura. On March 5th, 2025, Peter nearly lost his life in a horrific accident. We saw the very best of Bridgewater that day when Officer Noah Elat bravely pulled Peter from a burning wreck. That is the Bridgewater we love. But what followed is a Bridgewater we should fear. While Peter was in agony, recovering from injuries that kept him out of work and exhausted his savings, the township didn't send him a get-well card. They sent him a bill for over $15,000. They charged him for the volunteer time of heroes who don't even draw a paycheck from this town. And because Peter, a man who has spent months in medical treatment without receiving a paycheck, cannot produce $15,000 in 45 days, this township is holding a 6-month jail sentence over his head. Since when did we start jailing people for being victims of an accident? Anyone can have a car accident. In fact, statistically speaking, most people will. If you live in New Jersey, you will have 3 to 4 accidents in your lifetime. That means every single person in this room is one patch of black ice or one mechanical failure away from a $15,000 debt or a prison cell. Under this ordinance, if your vehicle spills gasoline or oil in an accident, even if it is purely accidental, you can be charged thousands of dollars in cleanup costs. And if you cannot pay within 45 days, you can face jail time. That should concern every resident of Bridgewater Township. Who's the next name tied to this ordinance's human cost? It could be yours. To the 3 new members of this governing body, you were elected to bring change. You have the power to fix this. This isn't a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. It's a Bridgewater issue. I voted no on this ordinance change back then, but Bridgewater needs you to take the action needed now. Now is the time to deliver the change you promised. Revoke the enforcement provisions of Section 40-6. Let's stop this unfair money grab by tax king Mayor Mensch.
I'm
Let's
just
stop.
going to ask you not to refer in a derogatory manner to
It's my
Mayor.
political free speech, ma'am. I can refer to him however I want, but thank you. Let's stop threatening our residents with jail for the crime of being in a car accident. Let's stand for a Bridgewater that values people over the unjust billing policies of tax king Mayor Mensch. Thank you.
comment from the dais. I think we will,
Council President.
we will look into it. Go ahead.
I think that Chief Mitzek in the back may want to come up and perhaps refute the absolutely ludicrous statement made by former Councilman Pedroso about the imprisonment, the potential to be imprisoned under this ordinance, which Councilman Pedroso knows is ludicrous. Do you want to speak on this, John?
Good evening.
Nothing like putting you on the spot, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he's not going to jail for this. It was a ordinance, from what I understand, was to recoup money for the first aids and fire departments that have to come out at night to clean up these crashes. Without getting into the case, he caused the crash. And that's all I can say. He was at fault for the crash, and that's why he was issued the ordinance violation. I can't get anything to anything else. But he's not going to jail.
And just for the benefit of our newer council members, when this was discussed, this is not something done just in Bridgewater. You know, our Somerset County, the hazmat team comes out. They send, this is done in other towns and counties and even state level, where certain things happen and there are costs associated. So.
And I can just say, I mean, I think maybe I'm the only one on the dais that has appeared in municipal court, maybe hundreds of times. It's people the judges, and our judge in particular, does not send people to jail lightly. I mean, you really have to, drunk driving, yes. I mean, there are some things you're going to go to jail for, but you probably know, you're in our court all the time. They try to show as much respect and give as much deference as they can within the bounds of what is fair and reasonable, taking into consideration the protection of all of the residents.
And for this, it's normally covered by insurance. Just like if you were driving down the highway, you lose control and you hit the pole, you're responsible for paying for the pole you knocked down. And normally that goes through the insurance.
Your car insurance, okay.
And Madam President, the two things that I was not expecting to discuss this tonight, so I didn't necessarily prepare my research, but the two things that I recall was that very point, which is an expense like this often can be recoup through insurance. And then the second is that when there is an expense, whether it's 10,000, 15,000, whatever that number is, if it is not borne, by an individual, it's borne by the rest of the town. If I recall properly, the reason for that ordinance was to acknowledge that when there are instances where a specific expense can be tied to a specific circumstance, that we recoup it. Otherwise, we're asking each and every one of our residents to pay a portion. Now, again, people might have a difference of opinion on who should be responsible, but on that day and at that time with that ordinance, we decided that it should be borne by the individual who was responsible for the incident.
Chief, safe to say that we're not looking to collect penalties or send people to jail. They're there to help drive compliance versus.
This is not a jailable offense.
Thank you.
You have a minute.
Just for the record, council members, the statute does, the ordinance does provide in 40-6, and I quote, any person who fails to reimburse the Township of Bridgewater within the time period is subject to a fine of not less than $50 nor more than $100 per day, or by imprisonment for a period of not more than 6 months or both. Now, the chief, and I respect the chief very much, certainly has an opinion, and that's wonderful, but end of the day, this is going to go before the courts, and the prosecutor and the judge is entitled to impose whatever fine that they feel fair and just under the circumstances. The provision of this ordinance allows people to be placed in jail for not paying this money back in time. This ordinance, this township allows that. You have the power. If you feel it's unfair, you have the power to change it. And I think you should change it, because it's not right. I mean, who here wants to see Peter be placed in jail? Nobody does. But the ordinance shouldn't state that then. Let's take that out. Let's clean that up. That's all. Thank you.
Let's do dozens of ordinances in our code book, Philippe, many of which you voted for.
Is that not a disorderly person's offense?
Standard provision, and ex-councilman Pedroso, I'm sure if we look back, voted for many ordinances that include that provision. There are probably dozens in the code book. Doesn't mean that it's exercised.
And I'm just worried. I don't want Mrs. Delaventura thinking that her son is going to go to jail. I mean,
Well, whose fault is that?
again, I've been in our municipal court. I have appeared in front of our judge many, many times. They don't put anybody in jail unless it's really, really serious.
You should apologize to her, Philippe.
Listen, the ordinance,
You should apologize to her.
the ordinance should have sentencing provisions that are fair and just for what's being addressed here.
Okay.
And in this particular case, they're not. There are times where perhaps having a provision where it states people can go to jail is fair. There are times like that. And certainly we see that all over our code in municipal courts. But to put someone in jail because they didn't pay a bill, that's just wrong. Just wrong.
Is there anyone else? Have you by any chance signed in? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Foose, 6 Forest View Drive in Martinsville. I was on the zoning board for nearly 15 years. I was
Oh, hello, Mr. Foose. I'm probably not your most
No,
favorite
it's all
person.
good. I got to go on my first vacation. I eat dinner with my kids on Tuesday nights. Thank you as an entity for your support of our land use boards. It's so important, but there are unsung heroes in our administration building that I want to just recognize very quickly. Nancy Probst, she keeps the planning board, zoning board running.
Yes.
She's amazing. She's an amazing woman. She has a tough job. She deals with 50 lawyers any given day, planners, engineers, plumbers, electricians. It's crazy what she keeps together. She's amazing. Without her, these boards wouldn't run. Catherine Sermad sitting right there. Another amazing woman, amazing individual. Cares about our town, learned from the best, Scarlett Doyle, who I think is the best planner in the United States. But just thank you for your support of the entities. Keep them going. It looks like you appointed great people, so I am a fan of what you're doing. Keep putting people that care about our community, care about trees, care about pushing back against development. People want to live here. That's a great thing. I think it's reflective of you and me, our voters, our taxpayers, our kids, our children, our schools. They want to be here. But we have to be smart about our development. It has to be metered. It has to be deliberate, and it has to be slow. And and it has to make sense, because more traffic just causes more problems, causes the situation that we just heard about that's heartbreaking, that I wish I could do something to help him. Nonetheless, the second issue is, as Mr. Pappas was kind enough to point out, I'm going to be chairman of the Environmental Commission this year. We're going to meet for members of the public that want to join us the first Thursday of each month. I look forward to working with you and working with members of the public on any environmental concerns that come up, and thank you for your service.
Where are you going to meet?
Right now, we're meeting next door.
Oh, in the room next
Yeah,
door?
it's
102
usually
A
at
and
6
B.
o'clock, but we're going to get up. I'm going to work with Suzanne. And Suzanne, I should have thanked you also. Thank you very much. You're amazing. Of course, I forgot probably 10 other people, but you're amazing. Thank you for keeping the meeting. For anyone that doesn't know, Suzanne keeps YouTube going. She keeps the website going. I think she's got a hamster and a crank wheel back there. She does a lot with very little. She's trying to conserve tax dollars, all while being amazing. Thank you. So 6 p.m., first Thursday of each month. Next door, I think that's called the 102 A and B.
102 A and B.
And if it changes, Suzanne will put it on the website. And thank you all. Good night.
Thank you for your graciousness. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Can I have
None, I make a motion to close public comment.
a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And I'm just going to ask, I assume, since I indicated earlier that anyone that wanted to speak on 10A, B, C, or D,
We still have to have the hearing.
yeah, okay, but I'm assuming, well, okay, I'll allow it to be opened in case anyone does want to speak on it. Okay, so moving on to the public hearing and final action ordinances. These are ordinances that were introduced 2 weeks ago. I will read each one individually. Well, I'm going to read a comment in general about these ordinances before we read them. This is from Mr. Savo, one of the township attorneys, and his explanation of these ordinances, I think, is a good thing for the public to know. What he says is, the township is required to adopt these ordinances in order to meet the March 15, 2026 compliance deadline. The failure to meet this deadline will result in the township losing immunity from exclusionary zoning and builder's remedy suits. So that's the basic understanding of why these ordinances were introduced 2 weeks ago and why they are going to be voted on tonight. So with respect to the first ordinance, an ordinance adopting an affordable housing ordinance and development fee ordinance in accordance with the Fair Housing Act Uniform Housing Affordability Controls and NJAC 5:99-1 et sec. Can I have a motion to approve?
No, we need a motion to open
Okay.
public comment.
Can I have a motion for open public comment?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second. Does anyone want to comment on this?
Seeing no one, I move to close public comment and move for final action.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bucko,
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla,
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
Council President Geiger.
Yes. Moving on to B, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending Section 126-309, period 3, period 1 of the Bridgewater Township Code, RMDU-26, multifamily residential zone, allowing for a Bridgewater Township tax map, allowing for a multifamily residential development on the property known as Block 400, Lot 7.06, on the Bridgewater Township tax map and located at 520 Route 22 East, including affordable housing pursuant to the provisions of the Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. Can I have a motion to open this for public discussion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there anyone wishes to address the public on this?
Do an aye. All in favor.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Pedroso?
Hi, good evening. Philippe Pedroso, 5 Yon Drive, Bridgewater. Just very briefly, affordable housing has a tremendous impact on our township. It impacts traffic, congestion. The actual building of affordable housing and the way it's built impacts the character of our neighborhood. and residential properties typically also increase our property values, increase our property taxes. Sorry, correction. When I was a member of this governing body, I had proposed a sort of an out-of-box solution. I had asked the tax king mayor, Mensch, to consider that the Bridgewater Township would self-build our affordable housing and then either later on sell it off or do something with that investment to limit the number of units being built. That idea is not novel. I can't take credit for inventing that idea. There are many municipalities in this state that have done just that very successfully. By doing that, the municipality can limit the number of units that are built and reducing greatly the load of affordable housing in Bridgewater Township and the load of, not affordable housing, the load of just mass dense housing in the township. I counted, for example, in the 3 ordinances that this governing body is considering now, that there are, pardon me if my math is wrong, but just try to add this up, that there are 608 total units that are going to be built, potentially built under these proposals, 141 of which are affordable. Under my proposed idea, only 141 units will be built total, and the township would then own and build the affordable housing. Now, I don't know whether or not that idea is financially feasible or not. End of the day, it's an accounting and mathematical process that the town should go through to figure out whether or not the investment would pay off at the end. Would the net be a benefit to the taxpayer? However, my issue was been when I sat on your seats was that the administration never completed that exercise, even though I had asked for those numbers on the record. Those numbers were never produced to me, so I don't know whether or not it would be financially smart for the township to engage in that. I know it would be a great thing for the town to limit mass dense housing projects, and that would benefit our community. Whether or not my idea would have a financial benefit, I don't know, because I never got the numbers. Point being, and I'm going to conclude, is that I would ask you, especially the new members of this governing body who come in here with fresh ideas and fresh perspectives, I would ask you to hold off on voting on this tonight and ask the administration and make that same demand to the administration to produce for you those numbers to see whether or not that would be something that would be feasible and would be in the best interest of Bridgewater Township. Thank you.
Madam President and Mr. Pedrosa, if you want to say there, I think we can do this right here, right now.
Yeah.
So what do you believe to be the cost per square foot construction in New Jersey today? Would it be fair to say that number is probably at least $200 to $250?
I don't know. I'm not.
The answer is yes.
Please don't cut me off. If you ask me a question, please give me the courtesy of answering. I don't know the answer of how much it costs to build. I'm not in that field. I'm not an expert. That's why I believe the proper thing to do, the prudent thing to do, would be to have the administration run the numbers and then come back to the governing body. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe the numbers don't make sense. Maybe what's proposed now is the best solution. At the very least, explore it.
Well, and personally, I have explored it, and I believe that you're looking at a minimum outlay of at least $100 million plus land acquisition cost, plus utilities. And the way you get there is at a construction cost of at least $200 to $250 per foot, units that are going to be at least 1,000 square feet. And I'm talking about the 400 units, by the way. I'm not talking about these 100 and whatever units. I'm looking at the full scope, the 400 and whatever units. If you do that math and you kind of work it out, we're talking about an investment that would be necessary of in excess of $100 million. So that's why I came to the conclusion, I can't speak for anybody else and I can't speak for administration, but I came to the conclusion that that was not a viable proposal.
Council President, can I?
If I could just
Yes, go ahead.
Could you perhaps reread that paragraph from Attorney Savo so that maybe Mr. Pedrosa could understand why his idea is ludicrous based upon the attorney's letter?
The township is required to adopt these ordinances in order to meet the March 15th, 2026 compliance deadline.
March 15th, okay, so we can't table this.
The failure to meet this deadline will result in the township losing immunity from exclusionary zoning and builders' remedy suits. And I was going to comment. Well, first of all, I wanted to just ask you a question, Councilman Kirsch. My understanding is that it was our obligation to build over 400 units.
Correct. So my little math was at 400 units. This is only a portion of them. And just for the record, so that we're all clear, the numbers I've used is $250 per square foot construction, at least 1,000 square feet of a unit. Some of them may be even bigger than that. And the 400 units, I come to $100 million plus land acquisition costs, plus potential utility costs and other things. So, while certainly creativity should be acknowledged, just even the back of the envelope math that I was able to do stated we do not have $100 million. I don't think we would be able to find somebody who would fund $100 million. And that's why I don't believe that's an effective solution. And that's why I was instead comfortable going with the complex negotiated plan that we've come up with to meet our obligation, which I might add is state imposed.
I mean, I don't believe a good, responsible government makes decisions based on back of the envelope math.
And I don't
Again, you cut
believe.
me off again.
Well, and you've cut me off as well. I don't believe that a sitting council person can come up with ridiculous suggestions without even having done his own math.
It's not
So I guess we're even.
Other towns have done it, Councilman Kirsch. It's not ridiculous. I think.
Did you want to, explore it? I
Why don't
think
you go
Miss,
over some of that
yes,
back-of-the-envelope
Mrs.
math Councilmember Gross was just
Yes,
talking about?
Catherine Sarmat is here, our town planner, so.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation, but I wanted to answer some of the questions and kind of talk about the process that got us to this point, because I think it's important to understand why these ordinances were the ones that were decided upon in light of the process, in light of the cost of building, in light of the opportunities and options that the township had to fulfill its obligation. So one thing is that the Township of Bridgewater has been proactive in meeting its affordable housing obligations through the years, through the decades, which is why the township walked into the fourth round with about 200 credits, almost half of its obligation already taken care of. And so the option you're discussing or have offered to the council was explored. The township looked actually at any township-owned properties or properties adjacent to township-owned properties that could potentially be acquired, and looked at what could be yielded on those properties and what the cost would look like, actually with financial input, not from back of the envelope, from actual financial experts. A 60-unit project, for example, was up to $20 to $30 million. I can't remember the actual, that's why I'm saying 20 to 30. I know it sounds like a large range, but that was just for 60 units. The interesting thing about 100% affordable projects is not that in most cases, municipalities don't actually build it themselves, unless they have a housing authority, and in even those cases, the municipality is not the landlord, not the builder. There are groups, companies that build just 100% affordable housing. They do a capital raise, they utilize federal home loan grants for underwriting, they utilize low-income housing tax credits, and the quality of their application always decides if those projects will move forward. The township did, we had bi-monthly meetings while this process was ongoing. Is about a year-long process that the township had, less than that as it came to the final discussions before June. The township had 9 different property owners show interest in building affordable housing and being in the housing element, some with units up to 700 units on those properties. The township went through different options in considering all of those 9 interested property owners, also looking at township solutions that included 100% affordable. At the end of the day, in order to do a 100% affordable project, in addition to the financials that have to work, Fair Share Housing Center, which was the main advocacy group that was settling and the township came to a mediation agreement with, requires that those projects be funded and occupied in most cases within 2 years. That those projects, if you do not have a developer associated with the project, or commitments, construction schedules, performas, et cetera, by June 30th, included with your housing element, that you had to bond, the municipality would have to bond for the total amount of that project. And in most cases, whether or not you had that information, Fair Share Housing Center and the law basically stipulates that the municipality would have to adopt a resolution for intent to bond if they couldn't raise all that. So if the project didn't work out financially because they couldn't get the capital raise, the township would be on the hook to bond for $60 million to end up paying for it out of their pocket, which could be a huge increase on the residential taxpayers that would have to fund that bond. And so I just wanted to kind of clear the air that those things were all explored. Maybe they weren't explored in public, but the township professionals, including Darlene Green, who's the affordable housing planner for the township, myself, Alex Fisher, we went through these exercises with Bill Savo as well to walk through. So it's not that it wasn't explored, it just wasn't explored publicly, I guess. It was one of the options that we really did look deeply into. And at the end of the day, the township ended up choosing at least 2 of the properties that are on tonight for the ordinances are former office buildings. And so the differential, I guess the delta between the traffic increases and the increase in development, these are not greenfield sites. They are office buildings, occupied office buildings, that will then just see a delta, in some cases even a lower traffic volume. So the township was very, very strategic in how it looked at what sites are good options, not greenfield sites, redevelopment of office buildings that are going to be a stranded asset very soon, and will still produce, tax ratables as multifamily developments with market rate units in them as well. So I hope that answers some of the questions, and I do agree with Mr. Councilman Ring's reiteration. The March 15th deadline cannot be emphasized enough. It is the state law. There are far and few municipalities that are getting extensions to that. It is incredibly truncated deadline, but it is incredibly important, as every single court order that's been issued states that if you don't get this checklist of items done, including the adoption of these ordinances, you will lose your certification and you will consider taking your immunity from you. And immunity is the whole reason why participation is kind of necessary, because once you lose immunity, the builders get to decide how they build in your town, and you lose control as the township. You lose your zoning powers if you lose immunity.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this subject?
Just want to note for the record that certainly I appreciate your very detailed explanation, and that was very nice. I wish I had gotten that explanation earlier on. Perhaps you guys can get better luck getting communication from the administration than I did when I was on the council. I'll follow up. I'll send a Freedom of Information Act request.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pedrosa.
Actually, I have a question I have to ask for Ms. Sarmad. Have you interacted with members of the council, either past or present, on planning matters?
I have.
Okay.
Affordable housing less so because Darlene Green couldn't make it this evening.
Okay.
So
But just in general, you've interacted with members past and present, and you maintain open communications. The way to get a hold of you and talk about planning matters is a relative open door, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I think it's important that be noted. And I know, Catherine, you and I have spoken many times on affordable housing, on a wide range of other things. I acknowledge your subject matter expertise, how valuable it is. And I know that, in my time in office, I regularly consult with you. I know that we engaged in conversations, last spring regarding the plan, how we got to the plan. I know I took full advantage of the open door policy that you have, and I think that was afforded and available to every council member, correct?
I was just going to say, I remember vividly sitting in the conference room, looking at the 9 different, and when you talked about some of the office buildings, I supported one of them because that office building had a pre-existing traffic light already on the highway. Like when you talk about traffic, like things like that, it was down to that level of detail that was being discussed with council members that chose to go to those meetings.
Every councilman was, including former councilman, were briefed on this last year.
It was, just for the record, since I'm obviously everybody's commenting on.
30 seconds.
Okay. I was briefed on certain matters of affordable housing. However, I was never, ever, I never received a report back from the administration as to any feasibility of self-owning and self-building affordable housing projects. That I never received. Did I have discussions about affordable housing? Sure, but I never got anything back regarding my particular request.
Well, we
Thank you.
also have to go to the record and see which date the what I call $100 million solution was proposed. If I recall, it might have even been the night that we were under the sword of having to pass it that night.
Yeah.
I believe that
It was near the bitter
It was like
end.
June 25th, June 26th, something in that range. It was literally the night that we were under the sword to approve it, and then the $100 million idea came out.
Yeah, it was-
That's how I remember it. Perhaps somebody can go back to the record and confirm it.
Should.
Let us know if you can prove that it's earlier.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wants to comment? Otherwise, I'm going to move to close public hearing and move for final action.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll.
Because, well, don't we have to close public?
No, we're voting
Okay.
to close public and approve it at one to vote.
Okay, so we're doing it all at once? Yeah. All right.
Subject to any discussion.
I would just like to say that this proposal is going to be for rental units, and I believe all the other two that are before us are for rental units also, and that is fine, right? Rental properties are an important in the inventory of housing. I would like to see us have more affordable housing where that is purchasable by interested and qualified individuals, so that they have the chance at ownership and long-term roots able to be put down into Bridgewater.
Don't disagree with you at all, Councilman Bucko. I will say that when we were going through this process and all the different builders that had come in with different proposals, one of the things that Darlene, our affordable housing planner, who couldn't be here tonight, actually said one of the things was the package, if you will, that we put together, it was favorable to us because we had components from all the different areas. So that, I don't want to speak for her, but I interpreted that we needed a good blend,
That's something that the courts like?
or the fair share housing.
Okay.
You're not taking one.
Or you're offering different opportunities for
Correct.
different people, I got it.
And again, I don't want to speak for her, but I interpreted that that was a positive thing. But I agree with you. I'd rather see ownership and people invested in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that if that lasts for 30 years, and if they stay beyond the 30 years, we still continue to get the credit for them? Yeah,
Essentially.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice, okay. Does that apply to the rentals too? If somebody's renting at an affordable and it's year 30, I guess they could still stay.
What's the owner of the
The
unit?
owner.
The owner,
Oh,
yeah. Like
Interesting.
George Collins has the village over here.
Most, if not all, rental deed restrictions, and I think the law now states it, that the unit, even if 30 years comes up, that person doesn't get evicted. It stays until that person is either leaves or is no longer income qualified. So even if it goes to year 37, that person can stay in that unit because that's what the law states. There is also an opportunity to extend rental units. We're still in the,
Yeah, that's really nice, that's good.
When the comment was made that we already had 200 units, that's because of some of the work that is done. Even though we're talking about round 4, it's almost like we're going to start doing stuff to get us in a better position for round 5.
Right, and Bridgewater has been incredibly compliant with the
Correct.
law, despite the fact that not everyone agrees on affordable housing and the need for it, and so on and so forth, but regardless of that, the compliance level has been
I don't
very,
know if
very
we disagree
high.
on the need for it. I think we might disagree on how it's administered.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, can we have a roll call?
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. Okay, moving on to C, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending Section 126 of the Bridgewater Township Code to add Section 126-321.9 entitled AH-2 Affordable Housing Zone, allowing for a multifamily residential development on property known as Block 711, Lot 7 on the Bridgewater Township tax map and located at 1400 Frontier Road, including affordable housing pursuant to the provisions of the Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. Can I have a motion to open this for public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Is there anyone in the public wishing to address this? Mr. Foos? No, Mr. Yes, Mangiardo.
How do we put together lists for people to apply for the affordable housing? Do Bridgewater residents get a first look-see, so to speak, or is that open to the public anywhere?
Whoever.
Want to answer that?
I think Mr.
I can answer that.
Catherine.
The township has a, what's called an administrative agent. It's actually required by law, and it requires that the developers and the township both have the same administrative agent. That administrative agent has to, there's a whole rental procedures manual and a for sale ownership manual for how they take in applications. So when there are units available, they have to affirmatively market them. They have to put them on their websites. They have to put them wherever. They have to hold open houses, things like that. Anybody who wants to get put on a waiting list applies with the administrative agent. They get put on a list with their needs, like they need a 2-bedroom unit, they're income qualified for a moderate income, and then as units become available, they get contacted to go see that unit to see if it meets their needs, and then they can decide if they want to, accept the rental contract for that or the.
So how do they get in touch with the administrative, how does someone get in touch with Bridgewater's administrative agent?
Bridgewater Township's administrative agent should have, one, a website, and two, I think there should be some marketing materials throughout at like the library, and there's a link on the website. So that should take them to their website, which should have an application or an inquiry form that they can then contact the administrative agent who handles all the intake of applicants.
So just to clarify, Bridgewater residents don't get a leg up at all.
So the way affordable housing works is that, for the most part, all of the counties are divided up into regions. And so Somerset County is included with Middlesex and one other county in the region, and Hunterdon in Region 3. So anybody that is a resident of Hunterdon, Somerset, or Middlesex County has regional preference to units here. Regional preference. So
Different from when I was on the Bridgewater Affordable Housing Board. Then, if you were Bridgewater, you could get to the top of the list. And we maintained an ongoing active list.
yes, and now this system, or even the law, no longer allows municipal preference. It has to be regional preference.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I didn't know that.
And I believe we have on the agenda resolutions approving much of the process for publicizing and
The operating manual.
operating, yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Seeing no one else, I move to close public comment and move for final action, subject to any comments.
I'll second.
Madam President, just by way of emphasis, this particular project is age-restricted.
Oh, this, number C.
Letter C.
Yeah, thank you, letter C. Letter C. All right. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Bucko? Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. All right, moving on to D. An ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending Section 126 of the Bridgewater Township Code to add Section 126-321.8 entitled AH1 Affordable Housing Zone, allowing for a multifamily residential development on property known as Block 170, Lot 4.02 on the Bridgewater Township tax map and located at 250 Route 28, including affordable housing pursuant to the provisions of the Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. Can I have a for public discussion? Second? Is there anyone wishing to address this issue? Can I have a motion to close? Seeing
Looking at
none?
me, you want me to say it? Sure. I'm going to make a motion to close public comment and move for final action, subject to any comments.
Well, you're my best motion person. You are good. Can I have a second?
Second.
I will just one comment. This is also, as Catherine spoke about, this is one of the office buildings of a repurpose.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Yeah, that's cool. That's neat. Any other comments?
This is the one that's between US
22 and 28. Yeah. There's 2 office buildings there now. One will stay, one goes. Correct?
I think they both go.
They both go. Okay.
Okay.
Madam President, just the one comment I'll make. I don't want to comment on each and every proposal. I'm simply going to say that what we have was a complex negotiation, and a lot of flexibility to come up with the best plan for the community. Each one may not be perfect, but the sum does meet the need that we have to satisfy our affordable housing obligation.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. Okay. Number 11, introduction of ordinances. An ordinance A, an ordinance of the Township of Bridgewater amending Chapter 182 of the Township Code to define responsibility to remove snow and ice from parking lot areas and sidewalks servicing multifamily residential apartment complexes. I'm just going to comment, I think that most of the members of the council only received a final proposal with respect to this ordinance later today, and in the context of that, I think there may be a motion to table it until or postpone it till the next council meeting.
Do we want to discuss it?
It's up to you. Does anybody want to discuss it? Do you want to table it?
Is that accurate, Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
We corresponded, and I think you corresponded with John later in the day. I just want to make sure that's your expectation.
Yes.
I would suggest then, not to interrupt you, Councilman, but those who, once they've had a chance to digest the updated version, which I think good work was done between you and John today, I would suggest that council members who have questions on that could reach out to you in the next week or so. Because it is updated for those who have read different versions.
I agree with that, and thank you to John for the work on this to smooth over some of the rough edges. As you said, we were working on it up through today, so the final draft was not available until later this afternoon. And given that, I believe it would be prudent to table this until next meeting for introduction. And if there's any comments or questions from other council members, please get them to me so that if there are any changes we do need to make, we can get those incorporated.
Do you want those comments now, or?
It's actually, I'd leave that up to Council President if she wants to continue discussion on this.
It's a good, solid draft. So.
Yeah, I think
Good
everybody needs
collaborative
time to look at it and digest it. Can I have a second to the motion?
Well, you're looking for a motion to table, correct?
Postpone.
I don't think I technically made it, but,
Probably table this one because this one is different enough where I think we would just reintroduce it.
okay. In that case, a motion to table 11A.
Second.
All right, and just brief discussion. I think that the area that needs additional focus, and I should say that good work has already happened. So we're not at square one. We're far past square one. But the area that I think is particularly needs attention is the fine structure, so that we meet the balance to encourage the behavior. The behavior that we want is that these multi-dwelling units take care of their responsibility. We do not want them to simply pay a fine and, as a cost of doing business, essentially make us the contractor that removes their snow. We do not want to be in the business of removing residential snow. So I think we just need to come up with a mechanism that is sufficient to make sure that multi-unit owners do the right thing.
I don't even know if we have the resources to remove their snow, but that's, I will share my comments via email.
Do I have a second on the motion?
You have a second.
Okay. Do we need a roll call? Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so the motion is tabled. Okay, resolutions. Okay, authorizing the reduction of taxes due to approved state tax appeals and refund of overpayment for property located at 2145 Gilbride Road. Just in case anyone is wondering, it's $2,400. And I do want to say for the record that
$2,407.
well, yes, I am a rounder. I am definitely a rounder. And I do want to say, just for the record, we have very, very few tax appeals. This is the first one I've seen, yes, so we have very few of them. But this was one of the rare ones. Anyway, can I have, we can do a roll call on this, right? Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
You need-
Or you need a roll call? We'll do a roll call.
Councilman Bucko,
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla,
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
Council President Geiger.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to read B, C, D, E, and F. We can do this by consent. And again, this kind of goes back to this is, we are required to do this in order to comply with the law. A resolution adopting the Township of Bridgewater 2026 Affordable Housing Trust Fund Spending Plan. A resolution adopting an affirmative marketing plan for the Bridgewater Township Housing Affordable Housing Program. A resolution adopting an affordable housing operating manual. A resolution adopting an operating manual for the administration of the Bridgewater Township Housing Rehabilitation Program. And a resolution adopting an affordability assistance manual for the Bridgewater Township Housing Affordable Housing Program. Can I have a motion to accept these resolutions?
Move them on consent.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Do we need a roll call if it's consent? Yeah, okay, we need a roll call.
Councilman Bucko,
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla,
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
Council President Geiger.
Yes. Okay. G, authorizing release of the performance guarantee in the amount of $77,700, acceptance of the site improvements for the LCS Development LLC, Block 711, Lot 13, 901 Frontier Road. For people who are wondering, this is the Delaney Assisted Living on Frontier Road. And this is just a matter of law. After a certain amount of time, you have to release the bond, is my understanding. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Need a roll call for this? Well,
Councilman,
is there any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Councilman Bucko,
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla,
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch,
Yes.
Councilman Ring,
Yes.
Council President Geiger.
Yes. H, notification of applications for the 2026 Somerset County Community Development Block Grant by the following nonprofits with intended projects within Bridgewater Township: the Adult Daycare Center of Somerset County, the Arc of Somerset County, Casa Shaw, Home Sharing, Inc., the Shimon and Sarah Birnbaum Jewish Community Center, Visions and Pathways, and Youth Consultation Services. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Brief discussion. This comes up every year. I don't remember the decision. I am a member of the board of Home Sharing. I'm the vice chair this year. I don't recall if Mr. Corsini, I don't remember if just disclosing that is sufficient or if it is more prudent for me to abstain.
As I've told Councilman Ring as well on his Elks, that is a discretion at your call, Mr. Kirsch.
Presuming that there'll be at least four, not at least, there'll be four affirmative votes, just in the interest of being as safe as possible. I will abstain, not because I don't support all these, but just because I am a member of the board of one of them.
And I have a comment too. I am a member of a board that contributes, a foundation that contributes to Casa Shaw. We don't contribute a lot, but just for full disclosure, I assume it's not a conflict, but.
Not a conflict, we're the
okay.
organization.
Okay. And just so the public is aware of it, Casa Shaw supports youth in foster care and their families. Home sharing, they match folks who need affordable housing together with homeowners who have space in their homes and need additional income. It's a sort of a nonprofit way of doing long-term rentals. I think everybody knows what the Jewish Community Center is. I think everybody knows what Visions and Pathways does, and I think Youth Consultation Services is self-explanatory. So, do I have a motion? I have a motion already. Yep, so all I need is a roll call.
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
I'll abstain.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. Resolution authorizing appropriation reserves transfers. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a second?
What do you have as the motion?
A motion?
No, I'm asking Juliana, who would you capture?
You.
Me? Okay. Because I heard other people say it, so.
Yeah, so I'll second.
Okay. And I think maybe, Mr. Pappas, you want to give a brief explanation of this?
Sure, this is a budget transfer for the 2025 budget. The state permits municipalities to approve budget transfers through the first quarter of the year after the budget year in question. And this does not change the bottom line of the total budget. This just transfers funds from one account to another. As we get invoices for the end of the year, there sometimes needs to be some adjustments to ensure that we can fund everything that needs to be funded.
Okay, I think I already have the motion. It's just a matter of roll call.
And just the briefest of discussion, Madam President. So streetlights, I know that's one area where we're spending money. Just, confirmation that we are responsible for the cost for each and every streetlight. It's not optional. We don't have the choice to pay 75% of the bill. We pay 100% of the bill, and that is a matter of public safety.
Thank you.
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. Moving on to J, award of second-year renewal option for the dumpster rental and disposal of municipal refuse at various locations to Active Disposal, Inc., 10 Palimas Avenue, Bridgewater, New Jersey, 08807, for the period of April 1st, 2026 through March 31st, 2027, in an amount not to exceed $34,160. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it with a comment just for our new council members. I remember last year when we did this, I don't remember the specific numbers, but this went out to bid, and it was almost, I want to say like twice this number, the next lowest bidder. So locking it in for a second year is,
A good thing.
yes.
All right, thank you. Roll call?
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. K, award of contract to A-Ray LLC, 107 Bluebird Drive, number 1D, Hillsborough, 08844, to provide information technology services for the period of January 1st, 2026 to April 30th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $56,400. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a second.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this, Mr. Pappas, is this labor, equipment, or both?
This is primarily labor. And this is for 1 quarter. We are finalizing an RFP. We are going to issue an RFP, and this firm and other firms are expressing an interest in submitting a proposal for IT services for the remainder of the year.
Okay. Happy to hear
We're
that.
not dissatisfied with this firm,
Yeah,
but
no, I just, if it's primarily labor and it's for 4 months at 56, you say to yourself, that's 165,000 in lawyers' numbers with rounding a year. And could we hire someone for less than 165?
the reality is,
House.
we've analyzed this is combined for police and the rest of the municipality.
Oh, so this is where we had 2 people.
Yeah. And,
Okay, I changed my comment then.
And I think that the reality is, having staff, you would need in excess of one person. to
Yeah,
carry.
agreed. I didn't realize it was including police.
Yep.
So I rescind my comment.
Actually, thank you for that. I was going to ask the same thing, so, your question. It's a good question. Roll call?
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. L, authorizing the execution of an agreement with the Somerset Hills Tennis Association LLC, 128 Van Cleef Road, Somerset, New Jersey, to provide tennis and pickleball instruction for both youth and adult programs for 2026 in an amount not to exceed $60,000 to be paid from the Recreation Trust Fund established specifically for registration fees collected from programs at no expense to the township. Can I have a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
I have a second.
I'll second.
All right, it's my understanding that this will most likely not cost the town anything that
Won't
the,
cost us anything.
correct, the
Pass through.
We enter
recreation,
into a contract, people that sign up pay a fee to participate, the fees cover it, but we still have to enter into the agreement.
we have to approve it. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
Council President Geiger?
Yes. M, authorizing an additional $350,000 to RJM Landscape and Design LLC of 821 Parsonage Hill Drive, Branchburg, New Jersey, 08876, for snow removal services for the total contract amount not to exceed $560,000 total for the 2025-2026 winter season. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Certainly not happy to do it, but we do have to pay the bill for all this snow this year, so it's rough, yeah, and it impacts us, but we obviously need to do it, so I'll move it.
Second? Can I have this? I'll second it. Is there any discussion? I think we all know what this is for. This is,
I've said my comments,
the winter was what the winter was.
Well, we certainly hope it is in the past.
Yeah.
Councilman Bucko?
I just had one question. How many plows does the contract with the vendor call for?
It really is dependent upon the need.
Okay.
Depends upon the storm. I think the last storm, I want to say there were 42 plows, and it depends upon what's needed.
When the RFP goes out, you're bidding per hour for a driver and a plow. And then based upon the weather forecast, how much snow, timing, Public Works determines how many plows. Because obviously a 2-inch snowstorm is very different than a 20-inch storm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we also have learned now that snow, when it's 20 degrees and stays 20 degrees for 2 weeks, is much different than snow when it warms back up fairly quickly.
I also actually learned something else today about snow in the town, and that is that the rock salt we put on the road, we cannot put on sidewalks.
Why is that? Do we know
It
why?
breaks down the concrete in the sidewalks. So it actually accelerates the deterioration of the sidewalks. So we have to stock 2 different salts.
Whatever.
Better living through chemistry.
What's that?
Better living through chemistry.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bucko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Isla?
Yes.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Ring? Council President Geiger?
Yes. Moving on to 13, is there any areas of discussion anyone wants to bring up? Hearing
I
none.
move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Listen.